Folks, if you're friends with an Alabama fan, call them, text them, check in on them, make sure they're doing okay, make sure they're eating, make sure they're drinking water. The end is here for a great era. However, older Alabama fans have been through this before. Older Alabama fans have gone through that sadness of a legendary coach in Bear Bryant and him leaving and the sadness and the weeping that occurred there. And I expect the same thing is happening across the state of Alabama tonight.
Breaking news, probably the biggest news is out there. Saban retiring after a incredible run at the University of Alabama. We want to get on here. Instant reaction. Bubba, as being the only non-Alabama fan here, we'll start with you. Instant reaction.
Nationwide, people are weeping. I can only imagine the reactions that are going across the state right now. You certainly have to look at the legacy that Nick Saban has created, the legacy that he has left. And quite frankly, the only disappointment that we have here is that he did not go out on the win. He did not go on that national championship of which he deserved after this epic career of Alabama. Now, I'm not saying this to take away from the Michigan Wolverines victory. I'm not saying this to take away from what the Michigan Wolverines accomplished this year. They were undoubtedly the best team in college football this year. However, Nick Saban, if anyone deserved to go on a national championship, if anyone deserved for the credits to roll in the middle of the confetti of him hoisting that trophy for one last time, it is Nick Saban. I'm sad that he did not get that opportunity, even as not being an Alabama fan. However, Nick Saban has had a legendary career. Without a doubt, is one of the four faces on the Mount Rushmore of college football.
He is the face. Just say it.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Without a doubt, it starts with him. Winning national championships at two different schools. The landscape has changed in college football with the transfer portal, with NIL. He was absolutely the legend. He was the most dominant force of the era of college football without NIL, and certainly the game has changed, and Nick Saban is stepping out still on top of his game. It may not be a national championship, but there's no argument that Nick Saban is stepping out still on the top of his game, and Alabama fans get to remember him for the great coach and the legendary coach he is, and not for having a losing season or not having a bad season after this.
Yeah. Well, you got to think, right? And we ragged Michigan fans pretty good. Congrats on your national title. You earned it. You were the best team ever. This is, to them, it's almost like, if you guys remember the video game Halo, the double kill. You get Bama, and then you get Saban retiring. Anyways, enough about that. Let Michigan have their glory. But, Blair, what is your initial reaction on Saban retiring?
It's kind of hard to follow up Bubba with that. I mean, that was an eloquent monologue there, Bubba. No, I think 17 years, you can't. Saban really set the tone for what college football was going to become, right? I remember the day when he stepped foot on campus, and I think, what did they do? I think we packed out the spring game, like sold out 100,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
for a spring game. Never been done before.
Spring game. Never done before, and probably never will be done again, right? And I think that happened for, like, if I remember correctly, 2 or 3 years in a row, like selling out spring games.
Yep.
And that just tells you the how much passion that Alabama fans had for winning Nick Saban and turn the program around. And he did exactly what he said he was going to do. You know, he said, I'm coming here to win championships, and he did that.
6.
You know, yeah, 6.
Six undisputed, by the way. There's a lot of jokes back and forth between Auburn fans, other SEC schools about mythological championships that Alabama has won. There's no doubt. There's no question
Undisputed.
that Nick Saban has won those 6 championships. Those are undisputed, modern era, playoffs, bowl, everything else. Undisputed won those championships.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. If you listen to Saban talk this year, I think he knew going in this was going to be his last year.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because he said, I love this team. I love this team. I love this team. And this team absolutely overachieved. And yeah, I mean, I hate that the fact that he didn't get to, hoist that trophy, but from where they were, and I mean, Graham and I watched a lot of football together, and I remember it was like, man, this ain't the year. And Graham told me, he's like, I think we're going to lose 6 games this year.
Yeah,
exactly
I was a doubter up front.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Exactly. So to only lose two, again, but like what you said, man, he went out on top. He took a team that was, not, I would say, didn't have the talent or was underperforming earlier and turned it around. And you can't go out any way better than that.
Well,
But
we all called it, right? Like Blair, you and I called it mid-season, but Bubba, we called it as well. But it was, if they win the title, he retires.
That's right.
I thought he would come back and explore the new expanded conference. So enough with the initial reaction. Let's move on to, all right, this is how we got to do it. We got to take our shots, all right? The timing here was very interesting, right? And I think it was very strategic. Transfer portal closed January 2nd. I could be wrong on this. This one's the Zero Credibility podcast, but we believe that the CFP extension closed midnight at Tuesday. Saban announces it today, which is after the portal, but it's still ahead of the February signing day. In my opinion, knowing Saban's contract when he came in, he wanted an initial stake in decisions that were being made on the hiring, almost, let's just call it athletic director level approval. I think they have somebody in mind if they don't already have the guy. Who do we to believe that guy to be? I'll give you my short list, right? And you guys may agree. I think they go after Lane Kiffin. I think Sark's in the equation. I think D'Amico Ryans at the Houston, Texas, former player, has done great there. That would be a good fit. You're going to throw Kirby on the list, but he's never going to come. He's never going to come. He's set at Georgia. But that's my short list of candidates. Another one we'll talk about, Mike Norvell at Florida State. But do you guys have anybody else out there? Have you had – we've only had an hour to think about this, but Bama fans know this has been coming for a while. So,
I mean, first of all, Graham, what on earth did you smoke to accommodate your sadness over Saban to come up with that list? I mean,
it's been like this. We knew this day would come, right? It's the conversation we have every year.
4 out of 5 of those people that you just named, 4 out of 5 of those people are in jobs that they're not going anywhere, quite frankly. D'Amico Ryans is playing the wild card game as a first-year head coach for the Houston Texans this weekend. He ain't going anywhere. Florida State is a great job right now, great program. He ain't going anywhere. Sarkisian at Texas.
Are you sure about that?
Sarkisian at Texas just took them to the Final Four. He ain't going anywhere. Kirby ain't going anywhere. Quite frankly, the only name on that list that actually might happen is Lane Kiffin. That's the only interesting name from that list that I think might happen. But first of all, let's acknowledge this. Nick Saban, all class. And as he continues to be class, he not only gives back to his players, but gave back to the university here. And in all the class he had, he made a decision and he announced it with the timing that he allowed that these players are forced to be here until the end of spring ball when the transfer portal opens again. That gives Alabama the time to hire a new head coach, for that new coach to come in and bond with these players to where these players aren't making rash reactions, jumping into the transfer portal just because they're scared of the future. This coach gets a chance to bond with these players and keep together this team that Saban has built. Now, as you're looking at other coaches, as I said earlier, the landscape of college football has changed. It's about NIL deals. It's about money. And now you have people that can compete not only with the prestige and the championships in the University of Alabama, but also the money that's coming in. That's why Texas has really taken off. That's why Michigan has really taken off. You know, 2 interesting names that come to mind that you didn't mention to me. I think Lincoln Riley is still an interesting name. I think that's a name that may leave the program that he's at, may come. I got to say it, the most electrifying man in college football today, the man who brings more press, more NIL, more players to his team of something that he's building, and he's only been there for 1 year. You have to consider Deion at this point. Does he have the experience? No. Does he have the championship pedigree as a coach? No. But you want to talk about somebody who you put them in the crimson and white. You give them all the NIL moment, who's going to bring the athletes to the state of Alabama, who's going to make them excited. He's got them excited to be in Colorado. You think that they're not going to be excited to play SEC football in the state of Alabama in the crimson and white with the legacy, with the NIL money? Deion's got to be an interesting name for that. Other
Yeah.
than that, there's a plethora of Saban disciples. There's a plethora of people who learned under his coaching tree that are out there and that can still come in and make a great claim to that job. Alabama's in a great position. It is probably the most attractive job in all of college football, if not all of football, period.
Maybe.
If there's a coach
Maybe.
making a decision
I agree
between
with you in terms of prestige,
Titans
facility,
Yeah.
resources,
and Alabama,
but
you have
you're following the greatest of all time. So Blair, Bubba brought up
I
a
got
great
one.
point. Let's hear what you got. Let's hear what you got.
Okay, one, Dion's not coming. Not going to happen. Shador just said he's coming back. Shador's already transferred from Jackson State out to Colorado. He's coming back. I don't think Dion's making that move. I don't think. Here's one he didn't say. Dan Lanning,
Ooh,
Oregon.
yeah.
Okay, 2015 GA at Alabama, Southeastern Conference guy from Missouri. He did stints at Memphis, a couple stints at Georgia. Right, I think he was at Georgia 18 to 21. So he knows the Southeastern Conference. Big thing is Pac-12 is going away. So you got to remember that, right? So where's Oregon moving to?
Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Big Ten, yeah. So now, okay, you got to think about this. Big Ten, he's going to be flying halfway across the country, because Big Ten is now West Coast and East Coast.
Yep.
Move into the Southeast. He's able to stay in where his home is. I think Kiffin and Lanning are top two.
Yeah, the other one, you could throw out Mario Cristobal down in Miami. Here's the thing that we always said, you don't ever want to be the coach that follows Nick Saban. So do we predict that there's going to be an interim just down year? They're going to get somebody that's not their number one guy, see what happens, let that guy be the one that gets compared to Saban, and then bring in the savior. That may be something that comes up. That's really going through my mind, but it's going to be really interesting to see this dynamic. Dion, to me, could be that guy that doesn't have the pedigree, but you bring somebody in that obviously is going to have the player relationship. He's going to have the Riz. I don't even know what that means, but that seems like what all the kids are saying these days. Somebody comment if I'm wrong on that, but he's got the factor, right? And he can work the portal. He can work the recruiting. Blair, you and I said that a little bit earlier. Why take on that pressure though? You've got it made at Colorado, but I don't know. Dion's the type of guy that he embraces that.
He wants to be a champion. He wants to be the best, and the best place that he can be the best and the next legendary coach is at Alabama, not at Colorado.
Yeah. So let's, Bubba, you mentioned this a little bit, and we'll close out here. Why do we think Saban left the way he did? I think that's pretty easy to understand, is that at the end of the day, I think Saban chose ethics of the game and the love and purity of the game over what he sees it is going to become. Look, if you've been asleep, you know where it's headed. This is professional football. It's been professional football for some time, but it's only going to get worse. It is the wild, wild west. It's completely unregulated. And to work so hard to get these 5-star classes and all these classes and all these things that you're compared outside of just winning the football games, for them to just bail as soon as the season's over. And now that we have the Power 2 mega conference, who knows what's going to happen when we head into the new year with the 12-team playoff. But Blair, we'll start with you. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think, he's always – I think the last couple of years as college landscape has really started to change, he's made a lot of comments. I don't know if he has ever outright said it, that he doesn't like the way college football is going, is just being blunt about it. But he's definitely hinted around it that this isn't what college sports is about. And I agree with him, right? When you have kids that can transfer out just because somebody throws some more money at them, like, that's not amateurism. I think that you will see Saban in the future, and I think that maybe he will get involved with maybe not the NCAA, but some regulatory, because I think regulation is coming in some aspect, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him on a committee or something in the future to help dial back this chaos that we're living through right now.
Yeah, he'd be the right one. And we saw this coming. I mean, regular weekly appearances on Pat McAfee show. Yeah. Way too happy with this. I mean, he's just happy. I've not seen Saban happy. We like the new Saban, but I mean, we felt it. And then the beach house. I mean, the car dealerships. Yep. As an Alabama fan, I can honestly say over the past 17 years, every game we won, every title that we won, embraced every one of it because we knew it could be the very last. And this may not be the last, but it's going to be changes. And Blair, you had a great point. I don't think kids today that grew up, they came into it, that's all that they've ever known. They're used to it. But if you went through the Mikes and you went through the down years of Alabama, you know that this was special and you knew it would come to an end. I honestly thought it'd be a 2 to 3 year run, but never expected it to be 17 years. And even this last year to have a shot at the national title, one game away from it, especially after everything that went on this season.
Think about what you just said right there. 17 years. So these are kids and seniors in high school that have never had a down year of Alabama football.
Ever. Yeah.
Really. Their down years was losing a game, maybe two.
I think
they didn't,
this was
they don't know four.
This was the first class that Saban has had that did not achieve a national title, and only in a 3-year look, I think is what it is. So, I mean, you come back from fourth year, you could still get that, but now he's actually got that as there's a signing class that didn't get a ring. So, can't beat that. That's hard to argue with. Bubba, any closing thoughts as we wrap this up?
I think you brought up a great point. I was reminded of the great philosopher Rowdy Roddy Piper, who once said, just when you think you know the answers, I change the questions. And that's what the NCAA has been doing on Saban for 17 years now. He became a dominant force, an iconic force. He became the heavyweight champion of college football that no one could contest, that was always in it. And they kept changing the rules on him more and more and more until they eventually got to the point that he just was tired of keeping up with him. Nick Saban, legendary football coach, icon at the University of Alabama from now on. I think the question is, what does he do next? I don't think he's done with college football. I don't know where he goes. I don't know that he's going to be a commentator, if he's going to have a radio show, if he's going to start advocating for something else. Quite frankly, I think he's an interesting choice for the new head of the BCS. Let's just throw that one out there. Nick Saban is not done with college football. I don't think he's going to go back to pros. He deserves his retirement. The end of the era is here. Alabama fans, it's going to get worse, but then it's going to get better again. It burns me as an Auburn fan to say that. Alabama is always going to be a prestigious program. Y'all will come back out. Like the Phoenix, you will rise again, even if you have to go through some dark times. And Graham, you stole my joke. As an Auburn fan, quite frankly, I'm hoping you hire anybody named Mike, because y'all have got a tremendous track record with coaches named Mike.
Yeah, well, Mike Norvell should be your favorite then.
That's right.
Hey,
anybody named Mike is now my favorite to take over at the University of Alabama.
As we close here, I know we jokingly said it earlier about, not jokingly, maybe there's some seriousness to it, Jim Harbaugh leaving, which I still think he does, but we joked about Bill Belichick leaving. Potential Bill Belichick decides, hey, this one's for me, Nick. I'll take the reins for a couple of years and come to the Tide and close it out. And then we'll just ride off in the sunset together. Any thoughts there? Are we entertaining that one?
Again, I think you're hanging out with Dion in Colorado and smoking some of the good stuff right now.